What is up, guys? It's your boy Josiah.
It's your boy Justin.
Guys, we are so excited. We are back for another episode, the Prism Podcast today. And guys, today is going to be a very special episode. We have our first interview here with our pastor, Pastor John. Give it up for Pastor John, guys. He is an amazing person. If you don't know, he is my dad. He is the pastor at Abundant Life Church here in this city that we live in our local church. And he is just an amazing stand-up guy. And we're so honored to have you here today.
Great to be here with you guys, Josiah and Justin. What an honor to be here with you on Prism Podcast. I've been listening in every week. You guys are doing an amazing job.
Heck yeah.
Thank you.
So we just wrapped up our relationship goals series. So now we are kind of just going into some interviews, and we're really just exploring what this podcast is going to be all about. Right. So we want to just sit down, ask some questions, and maybe you guys have had some questions for Pastor John or another pastor, and you've never known how to ask them, or you're too scared to ask them. That's okay. We're here to ask some of those questions, and we're really going to get into the nitty-gritty today. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
Super excited.
So, Dad, let's talk a little bit. When you first came to this church here in Steven City, Virginia, what was it like when you first came here?
Well, when we came, all you kids were really young. I tell you, we came upon the scene where a church building was here, and we're thankful for the facilities, but it didn't have any people. Actually, was a church that was dying out.
Wow.
Had a lot of great leaders in the past, had great pastors, but really a church that was getting older, tired. So we realized that coming in the door, it was going to take a lot of work.
Yeah.
And we knew that things had slowed down, but we really wanted to come and say, hey, God, we just want to be used by you, reach this community, touch lives, the old and the young alike.
That's great. So how did you go? You said it was a church of 22 people?
Yeah.
How did you go from a church of 22 people to what it is today, to over 1,000. Now we have 2 campuses, we have multiple services. How did you get from that starting level to where it's at today?
So that's a great question, because my mentor, Dr. Wayne Lee, asked me that same question, and here was my answer. I have no idea. Truly.
Yeah.
And so just looking at that, we were like, I don't know. After all these years, there are a few key components, should probably say, as we go back. We really came with the heart of just saying we want to get to know the people that were here.
Yeah.
We weren't here to change a bunch of things coming in the door. We wanted to listen to what God was saying. So we started by building relationships with people in the church.
Wow.
And obviously, for those 22 people, pretty much they were older. They were people that could have been our parents or grandparents. So for that, we just set at saying, hey, we want to get to know you. That's what we want to build first. The relationships. We want to get to know you. We want you to get to know us and our heart. So we just started that place and just said, hey, we're going to come and we want to pastor every age group. So when we started off, the first young couple that we had that came in the door that had a child, we jumped over our seats and went towards them because they're like, babies, children.
Right?
Yeah. So we just started there, going after even young families in the community, a young, vibrant, growing church, because that's what we wanted. So we knew we needed to go after that. That age group, we went after that, and that's really been the heart of it throughout the years.
Wow.
Obviously, learning from a lot of pitfalls,
Right.
and what to and what not to do. And but our heart has been just really reach the lost. The lost people in the community, my heart really gets excited when I see lost people come to Jesus.
Yeah.
So the same way with Kristen, my wife, and just going after that. That's really been our heart in it. A lot of prayer, a lot of ups and downs, bumps and hiccups in the road, but also seeking wise counsel from people that have mentored us throughout the years has been really a key component for us. So we just continue to go after that. We've continued to build relationships. We've continued to work hard. We have, of course, a great team of pastors and leaders that are with us, that stand with us, and we serve with as leadership teams. So that has been some of the few key components. of going after it and just really just being strong in our community.
Yeah.
And building those relationships with our area businesses and schools and
Right.
serving the community.
That's great. It sounds like a lot of where your success is coming from is relationships and building on those relationships, whether it's in the church with what you have now or going out and finding those relationships either within the community or the people that are coming into the church.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that.
We have too. It's been, it's been very rewarding. The relationships are rewarding. We say really the relationships are the only thing that we take with us into eternity.
Wow.
So they do matter.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
It's good.
That's great. And bouncing off of that, how do you feel like you effectively lead in the church and in the community outside of just building relationships?
Yeah, I think really looking at it, not only, sometimes you can get very myopic as a pastor and say, well, I'm only pastoring this few people, when really, biblically, we're called to pastor communities. And that means you have to continually be turned outward. You have to continue to say, it's too easy to get isolated. Like, okay, it's just this amount of people and no more. Where it's more than that, you're pastoring communities of people that are hurting. Not only have people that are hurting inside the church, and you're building relationship, but it really is staying outward focused.
That's right.
Which can be very hard. Sometimes when a church grows, you just look only internally and you think, oh man, well this is it, that's all, when really it's a vast amount of people, and realizing Jesus went after the multitudes and continuing to do that. You know?
Yeah, and I feel like, even in my short time being here at the church, I've noticed that there's a lot of outreach. There's a lot of church outside of the walls here, and it brings a lot of sense to that community, and it motivates the community to follow in the footsteps of the mission here at the church, and it just keeps on growing. I think that's really great.
That's so great.
So true.
That's so awesome. So moving forward, Dad, how long have you been in ministry in your life?
That's a great question. Now you got to make me think on that.
You got to count the numbers, right?
Well, we've been here a little over 16, and then we had about 3.5 in Hampton, Virginia.
Wow.
So that comes up close to about 20 right in there.
Okay.
And then we had 8+ years in the Midwest. So I'm about 28, 29 right there in full-time ministry.
Wow.
Awesome.
So
within those years of ministry, what has been your biggest challenge?
I think probably the biggest challenge is always, I think the biggest enemy is always inside. You're always dealing with you first. So dealing with your fears, dealing with like inadequacies, I don't even feel qualified. That I would say is probably some of the biggest struggles I've had, speaking personally, is just trying to overcome those barriers, knowing who I am in Christ. But still, you come across things, and internally you deal with things like, wow, I don't know if I'm really cut out for this.
Yeah.
That's
a big role to be a pastor, to step into that. That's biblical, that's holy. So that's a big role to have to live up to.
Yeah, it is. And there's just a lot of that comes upon you. You think, well, you got a lot of people looking at you. Sometimes you feel like you're living underneath a microscope. Obviously, I haven't done everything right throughout the year, so it's live and learn. So I feel like that is really huge. And sometimes just placing those things upon myself that you're trying to live up to. So for me, it's like how to be careful. Like you can set too much idealism that when you don't hit it continually, you feel like, I'm falling back. I don't think I'm really doing the best or my part, or I should be doing something different. So I think it really is through that. That's sometimes the internal struggles that you have that you're trying to break through. It's lids and ceilings. You hear about continuing leadership, breaking through the lids, breaking through the ceiling.
Yeah.
And the only way that happens is obviously with God's help. No doubt about it. And He's the one that builds the church. So
so good.
I just have to be reminded, and that I encourage our pastoral team, is also remember at the end of the day, this is God's church.
So good.
He says He will build it.
It's awesome.
So good.
That's great. And so going off of that, with all those kind of struggles that you kind of feel and challenges in ministry, how do you lead a healthy ministry here at the church?
Yeah, I think that's another great question that I think of years back in ministry. I probably didn't have as good a perspective as I do now, right? And time's a good teacher.
Yeah.
So I think as you look back, I think of, hey, wow, I wish I would have done then what I know now.
Yeah,
all those things. And so I think the area of a healthy leader is so key. We are reading so much more about it from church leadership to secular leadership that's out there. And I think for Kristen and I, it's been an area of discovery, of going away and learning and saying, okay, we need to be emotionally healthy leaders.
Right.
So what does that mean? We need to take time to grow internally ourselves. And so that the church is not going to rise above the leadership.
That's
So good.
And it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So we have needed to grow in that area.
Absolutely.
Emotionally healthy leadership. We read some great material. We not only teach about it, we live it. We bring it into our homes. We bring it into our leadership teams to say we need to be emotionally healthy leaders because the people out there in the church, they deserve that. People in our community deserve that, for us to be stable, to be emotional. Doesn't mean we don't have, setbacks in our own life,
Absolutely.
pitfalls, failures, but how to rise above them and continue to go through it. So holding each other accountable to it is going to be really key.
Yeah.
And keep making it a part of your conversation. That's how you deal with things in leadership circles. And that's how you deal with your leadership team that's around you. And you continually keep it a part of the conversation.
So good.
That's awesome. I love that.
Sorry.
So, again, in your experience in ministry, you have a lot of things to balance in your own life. And even growing up and going into ministry, I see that already. But I'm sure already being in ministry almost 30 years, you've experienced that firsthand quite well. So in your life as a pastor and even as a Christian, how do you balance everything in your life when it comes to God, when it comes to your family, when it comes to mom, your wife, when it comes to church and your job?
Yeah, I think with that's why God provides you a good wife.
Yeah.
And so Kristen has been that for me as a constant reminder, because there's times I've been really out of whack on that and out of balance. Because really in the heart of a man is the heart of a warrior and a conqueror. And that's not to say that's not in a woman, but in a man, that's just, there's more inbuilt. Like, what can I do with my hands to conquer, do it, fight. So with that is I have been out of balance on that in years past, where Kristen has really helped me understand, of really come back to time and time again, the focus of our marriage, our home, and the church life and those things. Keeping that in perspective is really important. I think one of the people that I've learned a lot from on this as well is Andy Stanley. Great pastor.
Yeah.
Great leader. Great author. But some of his material on choosing to cheat is really great. And if you ever get an opportunity to read, is where he talks about you need to learn how to cheat your workplace. Now, he's not talking about being unethical and lacking integrity.
Right.
It's, though, learning to keep the best part of you for your marriage and your children.
Wow. That's
Rather
so good.
than saying, okay, and here he's speaking as a pastor as well on this, like, hey, he's learned a lot of things too throughout his areas of ministry.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's save our best. Let's not just give it all to our day-to-day ministry, our day-to-day workplace, that when we go home, there's nothing left for those that truly are the closest to us and love us the most.
So that sounds like a really hard balancing act that you have to do with
hard
everything in your life, because not only do you have a wife, you have children and your dogs, you have you have to share the love with everybody.
Share the love.
And that can be a hard thing to do, especially in ministry. But I think, speaking from my point of view, you and Mom have always done a great job of doing that and sharing the love. And that's important, of almost having that hierarchy of, what is really going to matter at the end of the day. I think that's so great.
I think it is too. And, you have to look at that. And I'm 50 years old this year. And so the older you get, it makes you think.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, what am I doing daily? Is it making a difference? And does it really matter? It really kind of helps put things in perspective.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's so good. So I kind of want to go back into how running in the church and being a leader in the church.
Yeah.
And with your staff, how do you guys try to lead an effective, multi-ethnic, multi-generational church, during this time in society?
Yeah, and I think that is something that's not only pressing on us, it's pressing on a lot of pastors and church leaders. And it's really important to take a look at that, because not only do we strive to do that multi-generationally it's been something that we continue to go after. Chris and I understand that coming to the church generationally is when we came, we had people that are older than us, like we said, could have been our parents, grandparents, but not only keeping them and understanding that they are people that are full of wisdom and truth. We need them. We want them. But then also reaching kind of and taking both of them and pulling it together and saying, how can we help each other? I believe a lot of that comes in how we honor each other. Honoring each other is so huge. The older to the younger to the older, and holding that in high regard is very important. You have to teach a culture of that, and really bringing that in. Chris and I are appreciative of those that are older in the church that have a lot of wisdom, and we talk to them, and we want them to continue to come here. So we'd say the majority of those that were, of the 22, are still with us. Some have passed on.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, we're very thankful for that. We didn't know as things moved forward, as we were going to become more progressive on things, would they really stay? That's huge. Most of them have, and that's a lot to say about them.
Absolutely.
And that generation, that their heart has been, hey, you know what? We've been a part of this church and we've built it, and they've prayed and they've given and they've shed their blood in building buildings, but they have said, hey, we want to raise up the next generation as well.
Awesome.
And so then it goes also from the younger to the older. So going after the younger generation by doing ministry that's conducive for them. We believe that the gospel should be made aware and made available to every age group. So breaking it down to every level is going to be vital. Ethnicity is another one. When we came to this area, Chris and I came out of Hampton, Virginia. That was where we served before, which is very diverse. We love that. That was huge. When we moved to this area 16 years ago, it was predominantly white.
Yeah.
So it, for us, was like, whoa, it's kind of culture shock coming out of that. We have encouraged that in multi-ethnicity and encouraged that in our body. We have grown in that, but we are nowhere close to where we should be. So I think it's an area where we have to continue to grow in it, talk about it, continue to build a staff with multi-ethnicity. That's important. Once again, we haven't arrived there either, just being very open and transparent.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. We are growing towards that. We welcome all ethnicities into the church. We know in this area it's grown more. We're getting more of that represented in the body, but it's something that we want more of because that's what heaven looks like.
That's so good. I love how you were saying, we're not there yet. So you have an intention of eventually getting there.
Getting there.
I love that. That's a goal. That's where we want to be in the future.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's where we want to go.
Yeah, I love that.
That's awesome.
So last question for me here, for all the viewers, maybe there's some non-believers, maybe there's some new believers, young believers. What advice would you give to those young believers today? As a pastor, you have experienced God for so many years. You've been in ministry for so long. What advice could a new believer walk away with today?
Yeah, my heart goes out to young believers. I get more wind in my sails by seeing people come to Christ more than anything else.
Yeah.
If I can help somebody one-on-one, if I can sit across the table from them. So I think it goes back to relationships. That new believer needs to have relationships in their life with other Christians that are older than them, that have more years of experience. I think that is so key. Having, I would say, a mentor, maybe it's just something in life that somebody says, hey, I have a friend that knows more about Jesus than I do, that can help take me one step closer to Jesus.
Yeah.
And get to know him more and better and be more grounded. So I think it really is the relational aspect. Somebody that's there that can encourage them, because so many times in young believers, they start off, they're excited, they get so much passion. Then what happens? Some things happen in their life. Maybe they trend back to, they fall into temptation. They go back to the things that they used to do before they knew Christ. They're going to need somebody with them to encourage them to stand in the heat of the battle and say, hey, you can do this.
Yeah.
You can do this. Everybody makes mistakes. But I would also tell the young believer, don't give up. Because so many times they give up too soon. They get in there, the enemy comes in, they allow the enemy to rob them and steal spiritual miles from them. And I would just say, stay encouraged, because you're going to need other people to encourage you along the pathway. Once again, it goes back to relationship. It goes back to community.
Yeah.
That really everybody down deep is so hungry for. We just get at that in different ways, you know?
Right. No, that's so good. That's so scriptural too. You know, we're not supposed to walk this journey alone. We're supposed to do it with somebody. I love how you said that. You know, find a mentor. Find someone that is older than you, that's been in this journey for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. You can do that through your church. You know, heck, we can even be that for you guys here, for you viewers, and even Pastor John here if you're local. But
That's right.
That's great.
Love to help out in any possible way there.
That's awesome.
So, my last question, and I was watching a Stephen Furtick conversation and with Craig Rochelle, and I thought this was really neat too. I wanted to know, how do you kind of put a fresh language on the familiar concepts? Because, you know, in the years of ministry, you want to go over some things multiple times. How do you put a different twist on those to kind of relate to the congregation?
Yeah, there's so many different ways that can happen, but I think for me a 50-year-old leader, 50-year-old person, is I don't know it all. You have to continue to surround yourself with younger people. You have to continue to surround yourself with younger ideas. And we need to continue to do that, because they're seeing things different than I am. Every person has blinders. I have blinders, you have blinders. So it really is finding leaders that really, they can maybe look at the same imagery, but they're saying, hey, this is what I see. And they can speak at a different language, and they're saying, hey, they're relating it to a language of the people they're in their generation. So I think it is continually finding that. Okay, what is happening here? I see it this way, but that doesn't mean it's only that way. There's multiple angles. There's multiple ways that you can see it in the prism. There's multiple ways that are taking place. That's it. And so I can't see it all. And I want to bring people around me that are younger, and that you're saying, even some of these great leaders you're referring to, Furtick and Rochelle, they got young leaders around them. You know, they got old and young alike, but they're helping them see it, because there is a fresh way to see it and to do it. You know, what's the language that's out there that our generation and younger generations are running it through that filter? And so I think that is continually important, to have people around the table. And one of the things we say here is, doesn't matter whatever your age is, there's a seat for you at the table. So we need to let people know that, and we do let people know. There's a seat for you at this table, at this church, to come and talk and share in what are you seeing that we're not. And we want to continue to be teachable.
So good. Yeah, I like that. I like how you use the reference that everyone's got a seat at the table. And I feel like, especially now, and you know what we've had going on through these past few months, people are not allowing people to come to the table and explain their perspective on things in the church and outside of the church, and it kind of puts those blinders on them. And you know, I'm glad to hear the culture, you know, with having leaders around you that have those different perspectives, that keeps you fresh in everything and how you're going to teach to the other people in the community. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We got to keep surrounding ourselves with other people. And in different walks of life, you know, business people, you know, people in medicine, and people, you know, that are working as teachers, and all of those things, people that stay at home, you know, that's an amazing calling there. But they are seeing it, and they're running it through their filter. And so we need to see what's going on. But I agree with you. I was just having a conversation with somebody today, is, you know, we cannot be afraid of having conversations with people that have different opinions. And I'm just not going to get caught up in that, wow, we just look at it in one angle, but we're missing 99% of what's going on.
Yeah, that's awesome, because we've been talking about past few days, uncomfortable equals growth. And I just feel like I saw that on Instagram, and I just thought that was such a good motto. And it's just really cool how it all
that's so great, man. I love that. Well, Dad, this has been a great time together. We're going to end this session with just some fun, hot questions.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, it's going to be fast, quick. Take a drink of water. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, these are fun questions that if you want to know about Pastor John or pastors, you know, we're going to ask them right here. If you're too afraid to ask them, we're going to ask them just some fun questions. So let's start the timer. Ready, go.
Awesome. What's your favorite place to shop?
I like Express, H&M, J. Crew.
Awesome.
He's got really good style.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, we have 2 dogs. They're Ollie and Hazel.
Awesome. What's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie sounds crazy, but I do still like The Little Rascals.
Okay, that's a throwback.
Describe yourself as a teenager in 3 words.
Fun, cautious, and passionate.
Oh, this is a good one. Favorite child.
Oh,
Well,
you have to say
I
me.
gotta stage aside.
He's
right
on
here.
the podcast, even though it's
But
actually
he's
Cairo.
my only son.
Yeah, there you go.
In him, I'm well pleased.
Right?
Favorite worship band.
Oh man, favorite worship band? I do like Hillsong.
There you go.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Any tattoos?
I have 2.
Awesome.
One of
Show
my-
us the
I
new
got
one.
This one I just got this week, and I've got
Heck
this
yeah.
Awesome.
That's what I'm talking about.
Favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? Oh man, can I do a Netflix one?
Absolutely.
So we're binging Arrow.
Awesome.
Heck yeah. Last question.
If you had one superpower, what would it be?
Fly.
Awesome. There you go. Hot
Sweet.
take with Pastor John. There it is, y'all. that was a fun time, y'all. That was great. Well, Dad, we are so thankful. So honored
Thanks so
to
much.
have you here with
Thank
us on the
you.
Prism
Honored to
Podcast.
be
You are
here.
our first guest.
Yes.
We just
Thank
made
you.
history today.
We
Give it
did.
up for him.
Thanks
Come
for
on.
having me, guys.
Absolutely.
So much.
We're honored. But guys, stay tuned next week. Oh, we're
giveaway.
going to be back. Oh, the giveaway. We have to do the giveaway first.
Guys,
The giveaway.
We're going to announce our winner right now for the giveaway. Drum roll, please. Katie Heflin.
Oh, Katie Heflin.
Thank you so much for supporting the Prism Podcast.
Yes.
We did a random drawing, and your name was up. So
Congratulations.
when you see this, contact us, and
Yes.
we'll get you your free merch and all that good stuff. So thank you so much.
Dude, that is awesome. That's so great. Guys, next week we are going to be back here. It's just going to be Justin and I. We are going to be talking about being uncomfortable again.
Good.
Just twisting it up a little bit, but it's going to be a blast. But guys, thank you for joining us. Thanks for the view. Again, thank you, Dad, for joining
so
us.
much.
It's been an awesome time, guys. But we will see y'all next week. Peace out.